Happy Monday, everybody. We got Sean and we got Amadeus, and I'm Jim, and here we are, and we're going to talk about soccer and other things. But first, guys, hope you had a good weekend, and um, what'd you watch?
All on soccer.
Yeah, a lot of Premier League. Some big storylines there for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Sean, and what about the weekend for you on the Premier side?
Yeah. Look, I mean, I thought it was pretty good. I was actually pretty. I'm trying to think of the word. I was pretty surprised that Aston Villa didn't try to play a little more. They just kind of sat back and really let Manchester United dictate the play and really dominate. I mean, if it's next year and Manchester United has competent scorer, it's 5-0 at halftime. So, but they got to win. That's all that really matters at this point. They just got to stay. Just Foxy was just talking about on the other show about, how Liverpool could be within. He was trying to. I guess he was saying they could be within 2 points by the time we play again, because I guess they play on Wednesday. By the time Newcastle plays again, they play Wednesday and Saturday. I don't think that's right, though. So I guess Liverpool would be on 56-62. So they'd be within, 3 points of Newcastle before Newcastle plays again, because Newcastle doesn't play until Sunday, and then they have to play Arsenal. So, maybe Newcastle's a little bit worried about that. But, the thing of the matter is, by that point, Liverpool would be on 35 points, would only be able to pick up 9 more points. Liverpool can only get to 71 points at this. So, Newcastle has 65 on the board. Manchester United has 63 on the board with a game in hand. So, and, I've gone through, it's not always the easiest thing in the world to do this, to compare, but Manchester United plays at Brighton, tough match, at West Ham, tough match, but ahead of West Ham's trip to Europe. So maybe, whatever. Wolves at home, Barcelona away, Chelsea at home, and Fulham at home. They need 3 wins from those. If they can't get 3 wins from those 6 matches, sitting in third, they don't deserve to play in Europe. So, you got to act like a big boy team here and pick up the points. If they, and then if Liverpool drops any points somewhere, which they could, because they have, they're in 5th now ahead of Tottenham. They have, they're not going to lose to Fulham. You don't think. They play Brentford. They're at Leicester, who may need the game, may be able to get a point. Aston Villa could be tough. Southampton's going to be relegated by then. So, I just don't know. I think they're probably, maybe Leicester or Villa could get a point from them. But, they are leaking goals. The greatest defender in the world supposedly looked like a Bambi on ice the other day. So, it is. Yesterday was the game. They really, really needed to drop points there, but the Premier League made sure they didn't. So, it is what it is.
Yeah, see, that's the thing with Liverpool, right? It looks like they're going on a run now, but really, the wins, they're piling up a lot of wins, but they're still not playing well in the matches, and they can't seem to get the wins without help from the ref. So
I think at some point they'll drop points because they're not playing at that good level.
And that's exactly what I was about to say. Eventually, you're going to run into a team that's just too good, and they're going to take advantage of the way your defense has been Swiss cheese.
Aston Villa, maybe.
Yeah, probably one of the best teams they face left on the schedule.
I think that Leicester game could be tough. I mean, Leicester will know, listen, if we get a point here, depending on what's going on, they could be safe. Yeah.
That's the other thing, right? It doesn't even matter that Leicester's in relegation. It doesn't even matter the quality of the team. face, they struggle on the road. They really do struggle on the road because they don't get that Anfield home advantage.
Mm-hmm.
So it's one of those things where all it takes is one road game where the home team plays very well, and I don't know if Liverpool is going to get their win in that one.
I saw, just because of wanting to check it out for you guys. I'll tell you what, I was very surprised, pleasantly again, by Brighton this weekend. They played really good soccer.
They're a good team. We were talking about that this morning, about how sustainable it is for this, because they're very good, but they're not going to. They're going to get any of these. Casado's already looking at Real Madrid and Manchester. I mean, these players are already looking to go to other places because you're not making the money at Brighton.
Sure.
Making it these other places, and you're making decent money. Well, if you're making £60,000 a week, and someone's gonna say we're gonna give you £200,000 a week, that's kind of
I'm not a math major, but it's bigger.
It's a lot. It's a huge difference, even with all the taxes they take out and stuff. I mean, so, and then someone was basically comparing it. They said, this has never been done before, blah, blah, blah. And they're like, listen, Leicester won a title doing this. And, they won an FA Cup, and they finished top 4, and they played in the Champions League. They got to a Champions League quarterfinal. But now look at Leicester. What happens is you get to that level. Now you're in Europe. You start saying you can't miss at that point, because now you're spending extra money to stay up with the big boys. And if you miss and people leave, all of a sudden, you get a little overextended. This has happened Newcastle in 2011, 2012. It's happened 100 times. These teams like Brighton, who are only playing, once or twice a week, and they do really well like that. But then when they have now next year, if they're in Europe, now you're playing on Thursdays. Now you got to rotate. You're traveling to Eastern Europe, and then you got a tough game against Red Star Belgrade. Then you got to come back and you got to play Tottenham. And then you got to. And then 2 weeks later, you go into, you're home against, a really good Roma team, and then you got to play, Liverpool. It's tough. I mean, they always put hard games when you come back from Europe. So is it sustainable? Well, for now, they're really good, and I want to see them in Europe as well, because I think, whatever.
Well, how do you guys overcome that? Okay, you're basically saying they played very well in the Premier League, right?
Mm.
And because of that, they may be penalized by losing players and by going into a tougher league that will complement what's going on. So you're going to lose players. We get that. How do you sustain the ability to be at the highest possible level if you've got that type of juggling act that you guys just talked about?
Squad depth. This is the only way to do it. You see, I mean, there's no kind of surprise that a team like Manchester City, I mean, when you look at the Carabao Cup history, let me just pull this up. Since, come on, man. Carabao Cup winners. No better than this. Full list. Here we go. When you look at the teams that have won, Manchester United's won in 2017 and 2023. Last year was terrible, Liverpool and Chelsea. Manchester City won 4 in a row and 5 of 6. Chelsea, Manchester City. The last, Swansea and Birmingham City won in 2000. Swansea beat Bradford City, and it was the craziest game because I remember that was when I first started writing about soccer on NG.com.
Mhm.
And the in 2011 Birmingham beat Arsenal when the Arsenal keeper dropped the ball and they scored in like the 90th minute. It was a great game. I still remember it. But like, I mean, the teams that get to that win this tournament have three teams. The teams that go deep in the FA Cup, City and Manchester United. I mean, they have three teams of players or two teams of players. They got squad depth. The problem is, Brighton, they have some players coming through, obviously. So you're going to need to use those next year because you're going to have to rotate you. But you have to have two squads or else you get stretched thin. There's been some really good teams over the years. Newcastle, the Alan Pardew Newcastle team that finished fifth, that went into the Europa League, and they went deep in the Europa League in 2012. Tottenham, 2011 with Gareth Bale and that crazy Inter game. But then, the better you do, because you want to do well because you make money for being in it. And then, if you win that, you're in the Champions League. So you want to do well.
Sure.
But your other stuff suffers. So you got to have two squads of players. And if you don't, if you only have 15 or 16 players, you see like kind of what's happened with Manchester United since the Carabao Cup. I mean, they're playing every Thursday, Sunday, like every Thursday, every Sunday. It's crazy. And like the results haven't been great. They dropped points to Tottenham last week, and they really should have put that game away. If they played Tottenham on Sunday with the whole week in between, I think they win that game easily. But it's just you're tired. And that's with Manchester United squad. With some players injured and stuff like that, you see what's happened since they've been so, it's hard. Brighton wants to be in the big time, but you got to bring players in, and their whole thing isn't bringing in superstars. They bring in really good players. They scout and turn them in. They find these uncut gems.
Mhm.
Once again, if you miss a couple times with that, you're in trouble. Now all of a sudden you're back to struggling because it's not going to happen now, but 3 or 4 years down the road, after they sell all these players to PSG and Real Madrid and Manchester United and Manchester City, because those guys are all these players aren't staying there. Evan Ferguson, Casado, McAllister, they're already talking about leaving.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not sustainable, and then you have to bring in players of the same build, and it's a different team. Like these guys just so it's tough.
Yeah. So how about this weekend? Did we get a title holder in the Italian league?
Actually I didn't. I know Inter Milan beat Lazio.
Yeah, Napoli bottled it.
What, they lost to Salernitana?
What's that?
What happened with Salernitana? They had a chance.
It was they gave up an 84th minute goal. Diaz scored.
Wow.
They had all the celebrations.
So the race goes on.
They had all the celebrations ready to go, and then they things. I mean, look,
put the champagne away.
I watched the Inter Lazio one because I was on Inter, and that was a crazy ending because Inter scored 3 goals in the last 10 minutes of the match. They were down 1-0 going into like the 82nd.
Yep, and I watched that. I watched Dortmund bottle it. They're done. That's it. They lost. They're back behind by a point. They won't catch me.
That game made no sense to me. Obviously, like I don't bet on the Bundesliga anymore, but that is one that I saw. So I was watching it, and they let Bochum score in the 5th minute, and then they come right back with a goal to tie it in the 7th minute, and then there was nothing for 80 minutes. Like what a joke!
There was some dodgy.
Got a sandwich. Yes.
Yeah, there was some dodgy refereeing and stuff. I don't know.
So they want Bayern. They want Bayern back at the top. Is that what I'm hearing? Some Liverpool antics.
Yeah.
But
it's. I mean, they could have. they could have Arsenal women losing here 2-1 at home.
Yeah, they were winning 1-0 in that match too. Wolfsburg's like the best team in Germany, though.
I forget. I just wanted to look at the table quickly. In Portugal, Benfica is 4 points clear of Porto with 4 matches to go. And Porto.
Mallorca's beating Athletic Club, if that has any interest to you right now.
No.
Some people.
Porto has Aruca, Casapia, Famalicão, and Guimarães. But I'm going to tell you right now, it's not going to matter because they'll win all those. But if that's what they have, I can't even wonder who Benfica has here. Oh, Benfica's got Braga, Portimonense, Sporting, and Santa Clara. So Braga is 3rd right now. They're in Champions League qualification. They're 7 clear Sporting, so it's not going to matter. Aruca is 5th, so they're in a Europa League conference. So probably Benfica is still going to win that. It's going to be tight. I mean, they might drop some points here, so Porto may end up. Porto has to be perfect, and Benfica has a much 10 plus 10 goal difference, so they'll probably end up. Yeah, Foxy. It's always just like I thought as long as Borussia Dortmund could stay ahead of them, I always thought they had a chance to win. I just think that when you go behind here, it's tough. And by the way, so we looked at the schedule with Liverpool and Newcastle. I mean, they'll be they'll only be 3 points back if they win both. But once you guys just need 6 points because you have a better goal difference, to be honest.
Well, Newcastle's got the best defense in the league, so
I mean it's plus 11 right now. I just think it'll be the 4 that it is now. It probably finishes in that order, to be honest. I think Liverpool finishes 5th. I think Brighton or Villa gets 6th, and whoever doesn't get 6th gets 7th. And I think Tottenham gets 8th.
Yeah, I think this Newcastle team is very good. I know they're your team, Foxy, but I don't think you're giving them enough respect from what I've seen these last few weeks. I think they showed their true colors over the weekend. You know, they could have easily folded up like a 10, like Arsenal did against Southampton, but they kept pushing as they dominated that match. And in the end, they scored 3 goals to win it by 2. So I think that was big.
You have your own coverage on Premier League, right? You don't watch like the NBC coverage or anything, or
No, these guys.
I get the I want to say it's beIN Sports. It might not be. I watch it on Fubo TV, so it might be Fubo's coverage. I know some of them are on beIN Sports, and the other ones.
Which league is it that you're talking about?
The Premier League.
The Premier League is on beIN.
Is it? Okay, yeah. So then Fubo probably shows them through the beIN feed.
Yeah, in Canada.
Yeah. So
I also get Match Day Live.
They got Robbie Musso and Robbie Keane and things just talking about it's just crazy. Can't believe all the stuff these teams are doing. Manchester City, they chased them down, and I'm like what? They're like they spent like $2 billion. I don't know. I get it, but Manchester City should be winning. Manchester City should have 110 points every season. They have 3 squads full of players. They have 8 games this year. They've lost 4 games in the Premier League. That team shouldn't lose 4 games in 3 years with their squad. It's crazy. Just
it's more of a shock that they had to chase down the title.
And they're that's the other hey man, Arsenal, wow, what a great story. I'm telling you, man, if Arsenal bottles this, and they're gonna bottle it, Like there's going to be a lot of it depends what they do in the summer, because there's going to be a bunch of teams chasing them down next year. Newcastle's not going to have 11 draws next year. Manchester United's not going to have 13 draws and losses combined, and plus 10 goal difference. Like Liverpool, you think they'd be better. I mean, who knows?
That's a great point to bring up, because Newcastle's problem at the beginning of the season was all those draws they were going on.
Anthony Gordon sucks. He's terrible. I don't understand the deal. Isak should start every week. I don't get it. And he's a punk. I don't understand that, Foxy. You kind of I don't know how you feel about him. I just see his antics and stuff, and all the stuff he does to that coach when he comes off the pitch. Listen, man, don't ruin the thing we got. Don't ruin the vibe here. Isak is a star, but I don't like that guy.
I can see why he started, because he brings kind of that element of speed down the left wing, sort of like Almiron does on
Gordon?
the right. Yeah, but I agree. There were some decisions he made that was absolute clownery when he finally cut in, pass the ball. What are you doing? You try to take on two defenders by yourself. And I agree. Personally, I think their starting three should be Isak in the middle, Joe Linton on the left, and Almiron on the right.
I don't know. I'm not sure Gordon's going to be there in a couple years, to be honest. I think he's kind of one of these stopgap guys for now, but I just don't think. I don't know. I mean, Foxy, that's your team, but that's just what I think. Chelsea's not going to be as terrible next year. Once again, they're not going to have all these extra matches to play, and that guy's going to keep spending money. So, I just think sometimes they talk about, Arsenal, you can't let these chances go. You have to take them. And they didn't. And next year, Newcastle's not going to be 10 points behind Arsenal with 5 matches to go. Manchester United's not going to be 12 points behind with a game in hand with, 6 matches to go. Liverpool's not going to be, 19 points behind. This is not going to happen.
And that's the thing with Newcastle. That was their thing at the beginning of the season. They were really good, but they weren't winning a lot of matches. They weren't losing them. They weren't winning. They were banged up. Isak was injured then. Obviously, St. Maximin was still injured, but they were very good at not losing. And now you've kind of seen as we hit the new calendar year, they've really started to explode offensively. The defense is still there. And it's one of those things where you're right. Next year, they're not going to have 12 draws. Those matches they were drawing so much at the beginning of the season, some of those are going to be turned into wins next year, and this is going to be a very dangerous team. So, watch out for Newcastle. And speaking of Gordon again, because I see he's got something else about Gordon. You need to not start Jacob Murphy too. He's another clown.
Yeah.
So send in the clowns. So there you go.
Wearing clown shoes instead of cleats out there. must have mixed them up in the locker room.
Right. They don't really have the cleats on him that he needs. So there you go. Anything going on in the Spanish league that you guys want to talk about?
Well, Mallorca has beaten Athletic Club, Athletic Club is pushing for some European spots. So it looks very bleak for them now with such good teams. You got Sociedad in 4th right now, but there's some other ones. You got Real Betis and Villarreal. There's some really good teams up in the top 7 there in Spain. So it's going to be tough for this Athletic Club to bounce back, especially after this loss.
And they don't have that many games left in the season either, right?
Yeah, they're. I think they're down to 4 now after this one, but yeah, they dropped points in another match at home, I think last week, that they probably should have won. So, that's poor performance. And I wouldn't be shocked to not see them in European competition. They were a team at the beginning of the year that was supposed to, do wonders, but I don't think so. I think your top 4 in Spain is going to be what you see right now. Obviously, you got your Real, Barcelona, Atletico, and then Sociedad's probably going to be the number 4 with the season that Sevilla's had. So you will get a fresh Spanish team in Champions League, that's for sure, because Sevilla's not going to be there.
Be interesting.
Well, unless they win the Europa League.
Almost forgot they're in the semifinals there, but that would be like that. There's still going to be There's going to be another team in Champions League from Spain that we don't usually see because they're going to have that fourth spot.
Yeah, so Sociedad's been good. I mean, they, and Villarreal, but this has been a little bit below them. So, I think that's probably the best for. I think we're coming to the end of this Atletico Madrid cycle. To be honest, I think they're going to be. It's going to be at some point here in the next year or two. Valencia is lucky that Getafe, Espanyol, and Elche are so bad they might escape the drop. Yeah, you're right. I mean, they're a couple points clear now, and they're ahead of Almeria on goal difference. So, and they're only a couple points behind Hadith and Real Valladolid. So, yeah, I agree.
Yeah, there's going to be some fun stuff going on. Any things that we should be, any surprises or anything, as the stretch drive comes here, anybody that you're looking at going, this could be a surprise in any of the leagues that are coming around?
I thought PSV. Look, over the weekend, there's two good. PSV beat Ajax again on penalties. The PSV won 2 cups. Ruud van Nistelrooy 2 trophies in his first season. He's going to be an elite manager, it looks like. Mm-hmm. The craziest. Let me see if pull it up. The craziest result was the Toulouse 5-1 over Nantes. I mean, it was 2-0 Toulouse after 10 minutes, and it was 4-0 Toulouse in the 31st minute. I mean, they've never won a trophy. So,
what though?
They beat Nantes, who's the defending. Nantes is the holder, so Nantes got back to the finals. So, for Toulouse to get to the final, I think that was pretty cool. They did a really, Toulouse as you go through and you look and see what they did. I mean, they won 2-0 in the round of 32, 3-1 over Reims in the round of 16, and Will Still, who was really at that point doing pretty well. They smoked Rodé 6-1 in the quarterfinal. They beat Annecy 2-1. They haven't had the toughest path in the world, but look, you can only beat the teams that are in front of you. So Annecy beat Marseille. So, Marseille knocked out PSG. So, it is what it is. And, they won a trophy. So, I thought that was pretty cool.
I like that Toulouse team, though. If you've been watching, that's a team I've been following lately. And, they were on a tear like a few weeks ago. They hit a bit of a rough patch recently, but yeah, they won like 6 straight or something like that. And they were destroying teams like 5-1 every game. And honestly, it doesn't shock me to see that with Toulouse. And so they beat out Nantes. You say, remember when Nantes was in Europa League a few months ago?
Yep.
Yeah, go take a look at the table. They're going down this year.
Well, that's, they're in 16th right now.
And there's 4 teams getting relegated in France this year.
Yeah, that's right.
4 teams. So
I thought the 17th play in the playoff, or does 4? Did they just get relegated?
Because I think during the COVID year they didn't relegate, so it's straight up 4 down, 4 up.
Yeah, that's
out of that 17 spot.
So it's going to be Nantes, Brest, and Strasbourg are all on 32 points, and Auxerre is on 33. Toulouse is ahead of them. Toulouse plays Lens. Lens is a match behind, and they're 4 points back on Marseille for that Champions League spot. If not, they'll have to go into qualification. But PSG fans hate Messi. Yeah, after the World Cup, we knew something was going to happen.
Doesn't surprise me.
He's going to leave anyway.
Where'd you say he was going? Al Riyadh?
I thought he was going to the Middle East.
He was in Saudi Arabia the other day, so maybe.
Because
You
you
know,
can get him to go to Al Riyadh at like plus 800 right now or something.
well, they were trying to get him to go back to Barcelona, but the league's not going to allow it because Barcelona is so dodgy now. Like their finances, like they can't even register their own players. They're not bringing him back.
Yeah, they're not
Well,
going
he's definitely not going to Miami. That's ridiculous.
No, they're not going to be able to pay him enough. I don't think.
Wasn't that like the talk like 5 years ago? He's going to go to Miami.
Yeah, the money that he would get. I mean,
Well, the whole theory of the case
I don't
was
think they're going to let him go.
And
I
it's
don't
like,
think they're going to let him.
You know what? I think if you put a small piece on Messi to Al Riyadh at plus 800 or whatever it is at right now, not a bad bet. Not a bad bet. $20 pays out 160.
yeah.
There's a good chance Ronaldo's already in the league. And even, Sean, you were saying they want to use Ronaldo and Messi to anchor the World Cup bid in 2030.
Yeah, yep.
For Saudi
He was
Arabia.
just there.
So
Yeah, he was just there on the weekend. So, I mean,
makes perfect sense
makes
to me.
sense. Yep.
There you go.
Yep.
So we hit the bottom of the hour here. It's about 30.
Oh, yeah, I got to get to my game. So,
That was my subtle transition for you.
hold down the fort for me.
We will. We'll do our best.
All right, I'll see you tomorrow.
See you tomorrow at 2:00.
Have a good one, Sean.
You too.
Yeah.
Bye-bye, Don. Anyway, did you have you gotten to see any of the baseball recently?
Yeah, I've been watching. I've been monitoring the baseball.
I'm
not
keeping
watching
an
a lot.
eye on it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Three things of the oversized base and the pitch clock and all that stuff. The average games are now just a tick under 3 hours. So they've cut 39 minutes off of the game so far. The stolen bases are up 41% over last year. And batting average and run scores are over last year. So
And injuries with running the bases are up as well.
right, exactly. Probably because people who are running the bases now never ran it before. It's not often baseball does something right. So we'll give them a very calm but not overwhelmingly, attaboy for doing it right.
Yeah, they did a good job, and you know what? I would like to see the robot umpires next. But what you're doing with Oakland is a disgrace. Doesn't forgive anything.
They've sold that team 9 times.
Okay, you can move the team to Vegas, but it's still going to be bad because the owner doesn't spend money. So, I don't know what the hell you want from this franchise.
The land that they bought, in Vegas, right? They were offered that land for $1, but they messed around, and it ended up costing $150 million. So, and this morning, the owners and front office people of the A's said that they would listen to Oakland if Oakland called. So I don't know. I mean, Nevada's going to have to come up with $500 million to bring them there, and I don't see that happening.
Well, I heard that land deal also pissed off some Vegas residents.
Well, yeah, because it was supposed to go. Here we go to affordable housing.
Yeah, you just built a hockey arena. Now
Right.
you built the football stadium. And now you want to go and build a baseball thing for a franchise that doesn't make money. They don't even spend money.
They're just, and you got to wonder if what they're doing here is just to basically tick off the Oakland fans enough that they just don't care anymore. And to their credit, the Oakland fans do care. And, it's crazy. And, speaking of crazy, we got, the Rays and the Pirates are just, flying high, and they can just continue to win, and that's an amazing situation. Both of them have gone over 20 wins, and they still haven't broken double-digit losses. So that's a big surprise, and there's some very interesting storylines going on.
Yeah, definitely.
And you got the Knicks in Miami back. They hate each other, so that's always a good thing. And in hockey, Toronto advances. Not a bad.
Florida. I was watching that game. I was so happy to see the Bruins go. I called it at the beginning of the series. Said Florida was knocking the Bruins out. Everybody gawked. A few people were with me, but man, the Florida Panthers, they were 6-5 against the Bruins this year. Nothing special, just another hockey team out there. Can't win 65 games in the regular season and then expect to win another 16 to the cup. Doesn't happen.
No. In Florida actually has matched up against Boston. It's over the past few years, not badly, and
it's the physicality. Boston doesn't play they don't play hockey. They play more like a soccer team.
Yeah.
Try to score one goal and then beat you up and defend.
Right.
To win.
But Florida has some guys who can score, so that's a definite situation.
Yeah, and it showed. They won the last 3 games, scoring 4 goals in each.
Right. What do you think of what's the vibe like in the Toronto area that they Maple Leafs have moved on?
You know what? It's funny because I'm not even a Leafs fan,
right.
and every Leafs fan I was talking to during the series was all freaking out. Everybody thought the Lightning was going to win, especially when they were up 3-1 and they lost that one game at home. But I just kept telling the Leaf fans, I said, guys, this series is over in 6 games. The Lightning are not a good team. They're not a good team. Okay. I know they went to the finals 3 straight years. It means nothing. They didn't belong in the finals last year. They've been on the decline for a while. They're not a good team. And you saw it this year. They lost in the first round in 6 games, and they're going to be lucky if they make the playoffs this year. They didn't even reach 100 points. And the other thing I had to keep telling, this is a different Leafs team. Yeah, the Leafs have made the playoffs and failed the last couple years, but if you look, the Leafs were never a great team. They were struggling to hit 100 points on their way to the playoffs. They had 111 points this year. It's a completely different Leafs team. Right. They're on their way to the Stanley Cup. They finally got the monkey off their back. And also the thing was, there's less pressure on the road. Mm-hmm. They had no pressure. All the pressure was on, this dynasty team that needs to win 3 straight. You're at home here. You should even up the series. All the pressure was on the Lightning. The Leafs never had any pressure, and they showed it.
Well, there's a couple of things too. Vasilevsky, okay? You can't play the amount of games that they played in 3 years. They played literally, 35 or 40 extra games over the past 3 years than has anyone else. You can't tell me that doesn't take a toll on the players, and specifically on Vasilevsky, because the blue line and the defenders were not good in Tampa. They just
that's a great point to make, because it's not even the fact that they played these extra 40 games as well. That's a lot, but it's the fact that the Lightning are one of the only teams in the NHL that never plays their backup goalie. Mm-hmm. And it's absolute donkey move, because John Cooper is a donkey. Mm-hmm. But and even after the game, he gave the Leafs no credit at all. His response after the game was, they were going to do it eventually. It just sucks that it was against us, because you guys are a bad team. Just get that through your head. You sucked. So that you didn't belong in the playoffs this year. But that's something where that is on the coach, John Cooper. You are an absolute donkey if you don't play your backup goal. And even Brian Elliott, you can tell by the look on his face, the guy never plays at all. It's absolutely ridiculous. Even during the regular season, the guy needs a rest sometimes. You can't play him back-to-back games, 82 games of the season. And that's the other thing. They don't even pull him. If you notice that one game they got destroyed by the Leafs, they let him hang out to dry all 7 goals. You don't even pull him after 4 and say, okay, it's not your night, take a break, let Elliott get some work. No, we're going to leave you in to die. So, they got exactly what they deserved.
Yeah, and the thing, too, when you're talking about they don't have a lot of depth. So, the combination of playing all those players and lack of depth, you can't do it with smoke and mirrors. I was stunned. Frankly, I was stunned they even got to that far in the playoffs.
Honestly, the Leafs didn't shock me. Not even the Panthers shocked me, because I called it. My biggest shock was the Kraken beating the Avalanche last night. I didn't really touch the series, but it was just something, defending Stanley Cup champions. You don't expect that from a team in its second year ever as franchise.
But you know what? Look at what's gone on. You've got two of the best teams in the West are two franchises that didn't exist 4 years ago.
Yep, pretty much.
So, kudos to them. They've done a good job of scouting their rebuilding of franchises there. That's amazing.
And that's the thing with hockey, right? Like, this year, Boston, they broke every regular season win record that there was. You get teams like the Lightning who make the finals 3 years in a row. You had that 1 year where the Blues were in last place out of all NHL teams in January, and they went on a run and won the cup that year.
Mm-hmm.
So it just shows to show you got to get hot at the right time.
Yeah, I mean, it's like baseball or anything else. You want to be rolling into the playoffs and play your best, your best games at that point in time. And certainly, in both the NBA and the, Steph Curry goes off and he gets the Warriors back, and then when it looked like, they don't play well on the road and they got to go to Sacramento and they got to win the game in Sacramento to get out of there.
Big win for him and Scott Foster.
Yeah, and you're sitting there going, I understand what you're saying, but that is Steph Curry. I mean, it's
I know, of course.
Are you surprised that if Steph Curry has a good game?
Well, the other thing was he had apparently this monumental speech.
Oh yeah,
he was up till 4 a.m. and
right.
He just he poured his heart out in this speech to the guys, and it got them so fired up. You're the defending champions, though. People weren't giving them enough respect.
Right,
going into that game.
And that's you gotta love that good old fashioned 90-mile bus trip between Sacramento and San Francisco.
And you know what? They still don't have to get on a plane because they're playing the Lakers this round. So they haven't had to fly. Sorry?
Well, the thing is, you won't. It's an hour flight, so it's not exactly like you're going to get too tired out. And the Lakers Warriors, that ought to be fun. I mean, that's they don't like each other at all, and with good reason. And so that should be a fun series. It's like
LeBron versus Curry, right?
Yeah. The funny thing is that people were talking about, Miami and the Knicks, don't like each other. Well, that's true 15 years ago. These two teams don't know each other well enough to just like them. So it is what it is. But I do think there's going to be some fun stuff here. We're going to see how good both in baseball, both Tampa Bay and Pittsburgh are, because they're gonna begin to start to face some teams that are, at least on paper, are much better than the group that they've faced before. But all that being said, you still have to win, and they've done it. So there's no reason to believe that they can't do it and continue it. And the Pirates have an incredibly young pitching staff.
Yeah, they burned me yesterday. I decided to lose that one game, but they've been rolling. So
the Nationals actually won it.
Should have known though after you sweep the doubleheader.
Yeah, usually that doesn't happen.
They scored 16 runs in one of those too.
And Josiah Grace pitched well in that last few games, so I give him that for something. So
Oviedo just collapsed, absolutely collapsed.
It was a mess. The Blue Jays haven't been playing badly.
No, they've been rolling. Actually, I think they've won 6 of their last 7. Their only loss was yesterday. They blew they were down 4-0 to the Mariners at home. Mm-hmm. They come back and score 8 unanswered runs to go up 8-4, and then they end up losing the game 10-8. And I think it was the 10th inning they lost it in, or whatever, extra inning.
Oh, it wasn't. Yeah, it was an extra inning game.
Yeah. So there you go. But you know what? They've been pitching actually really well over the last 2 weeks. So I'll give them that one blow-up game. They won 6 straight, but expecting some good results going forward. They got the offense and the pitching rolling for them.
That's a good point. Yeah, absolutely. I don't know. It's been a wild couple of days, to be sure. So anyway, any final thoughts before we get out of here on rainy Monday here in the East Coast. I don't know what's doing there, but it's
Yeah,
not
it's depressing. It's depressing outside.
depressing weather. Okay.
But
Well,
yeah, just enjoy the games.
Right. We've done our best to entertain you folks. So, we'll do it again tomorrow. And we hope that you enjoyed it. And join Amadeus, myself, and Sean will be here back on Tuesday. All right, everybody, have a nice day.